are seeing different aspects of problems. We want to help them be better problem solvers in the moment sometimes, or with teams with longer, time to percolate things. So innovative problem solving, I think, absolutely supports exceptional experiences and safe experiences. But again, if I talk to a room full of nurses and doctors and say, what percentage of your day is problem solving? They yell out 90%, 99%, 98%. And then I'll say, well, what training have you ever had in how to be a more innovative problem solver? Nobody's raised their hand yet. So that's a very important kind of piece of the puzzle that I see making a difference. And then now I'm also talking about effort and effort assessment, how to have your antenna up. And at the end of the day, part of the reason the book includes 10 exercises to use with your teams. And that's really all about, we have to raise the awareness about customer effort and friction and ease. And the way you do that is you talk about it regularly. And so there's 10 exercises that you can use with a staff, with a team, leaders, frontline, doesn't matter, just to get people talking about it and exploring the topic.
So I've just gotten a few notes and comments suggesting that there have been some disruptions in the live stream today, which is really frustrating to me. And we normally don't have any problems with our platform, but for some reason today, the broadcast both on Facebook and some on YouTube has been interrupted. So to the degree that that's the case, we may have to have you back again to revisit some of these conversations. So I'm apologizing to you in advance. There's nothing on our end that we can see that actually happened, but we did get some of that feedback. And I don't want anybody to miss this. So I'm just going to leave that as a reserve. Let's go back in case there was a disruption. Let me continue on, though, for those who hopefully have been able to join us throughout this, and talk a little bit about kind of where people can bring you in beyond, say, the workshops right now. Are you doing keynotes? Are you doing consultative functions where you actually go in and do deep dive analytics besides developing these champions or, train the trainer, mentors, activators within the culture?
I also, obviously, in this day and age, there's lots of web program I can do, live web consultations or training that I can do, depends on what their needs are. I do assessments of where you are in your maturity for innovation culture or patient experience centric culture or effort culture. And between the assessment side of it, the training side of it, the coach development side, again, I'm able to customize based on what they need and what they're looking for.
Perfect. So do you have an extra couple minutes beyond 12:45 Eastern?
Absolutely.
Good. So I want to make sure we don't short this and that we have content so that even if we lost a large portion of it, we are able to make sure that we cover things. Those of you who have been with us from the beginning, we'll touch on a couple of things you may have already heard, but otherwise we're going to loop back around. So my guest today is Diane Hopkins, who, for those of you who are just joining us, is someone who is really one of the first chief experience officers, chief customer officers. They're titled various things, but functionally played that role long before it was in vogue, and has the pedigree both from a marketing perspective, which I think is an interesting journey, right? I had a meeting with a major CEO of a major company last night. I had dinner with, and they used to have a chief customer officer, and they just recently shut it down, which I found interesting. And they absorbed the functions into marketing, into IT. So they felt like they had too many chiefs, if you will. And so they kind of broke those things into those functional areas. It's interesting to me because I think the trend is moving a slightly different way, which is that, marketing doesn't fully express the entire customer journey, and technology is a methodology that serves the customer journey. I'd like to get your thoughts, having been one of the primary players, one of the really, I think, founders of that role, how it plays not only in healthcare, but beyond.
Well, having that role, no matter what the span of control or responsibilities are, sends a message to the organization, right? So not having that role and still performing well and making a lot of money has happened and worked well for a lot of companies. But as life has gotten more complex and consumers have gotten more knowledgeable and demanding, I think it sends a wonderful message throughout the organization. Now, that doesn't change the fact that every single person in the company is a chief moment officer or a chief customer officer or whatever you want to call it. But putting a focus and resources and importance to it, I think makes a big difference. And, hiding it in marketing, hiding it in IT may not get you the visibility and the level of respect that, it would otherwise.
All right. I'm hiding. So talking about hiding, I'm hiding behind your book. That's a pretty good thing to hide behind. If you're going to have something cover you up, you got to give me that. All right. So let's talk about this journey of yours, right? So we've got you in marketing. We've got you taking some advanced training through Tom Peters and then working with Gilmore and Pine, all of which evolution around organizational excellence, and then a real focus on how to apply that organizational excellence with a experience economy mindset, right? So you go through all of that. Then you've been writing books in concert with other leaders in your hospital setting organization, and then break out on your own book, and then write books with patients to kind of walk alongside of them as they talk about their experiential journey. And now we're in the world of effortless experiences and models that help organizations systematize their approach to reducing effort on behalf of those they serve. So that's kind of the short version of everything we've covered heretofore. If you look at how, let's assume that I just had a epiphanal moment with you and I said, wow, we really need to double down on how we look at effort in our organization. Where do I start? Right? What do you do for me if I say, hello, Diane, can you help us here? We think Houston, we have a problem, right? So where do I start on that particular journey?
Well, the first thing, assessing effort strategy or the current state, is we want to go in not like a bulldozer. We may know there's a problem and we may know it needs fixing, but if you go in like a bulldozer, you're going to ruin what's precious. So there are some precious things going right, and they're God knows where, scattered around the organization. And so you want to go in like an archaeologist with a little toothbrush and little brushes to first figure out what's precious and what's working wonderfully. So that's kind of the beginning part of that. Then it really begins with some form of observation, either through fresh eyes outside your organization or preparing some people, a team inside, on what to look for. And you're going to be looking for, you're going to start with customer comments. Everybody looks at scores, patient satisfaction or other scores, and the numbers are important, but the gold is in the comments. And the things that people are willing to tell you you're doing that tick them off, frustrate them, make life hard for them. Start with those. You've got them, you're paying for them. Start digging in that. You'll also probably be able, depending on the culture, to get the front line, the people at the bedside, the people serving the food, to bring them in and say, where do we make it hard? Can you come up with anything you've observed where we're making it more difficult for patients or their families than we should? They start singing their song about what they know and what they've seen. And the problem is nobody's ever asked them, or if they've offered it up, nobody's ever done anything about it. So
and I think there's another layer to that question, right? Like you get that. That's like rich mining. There's plenty of work to do. There's a long run on that. Mm-hmm. And then there's the next question I frequently ask, which is, how do we make it hard on you such that it makes it hard on our customer, right? So it's almost like, what are we laying on your plate that gets in the way and ultimately makes it difficult for the customer? So that's that ecosystem or ecosystem, depending upon your phraseology, that is also underpinning it. But I love that starting point. Like, just be an effort spotter and help us define where there's effort, because sometimes people have the solutions, which is great, it's amazing. But even if they don't, they normally know where the pain points are, where the bodies are, literally.
Well, even when any new service is put in place, or an enhancement or a change, even to something to hours of operation, there should be this little box that you cannot go past before a change is made or something new is launched that says, what is this going to do to customer effort? Good, bad, or indifferent. But you got to ask the question, and you have to have somebody in every meeting or in every team that raises their hand to say, excuse me, what is this going to do to customer effort? Now, that doesn't mean you won't do it, but you'll accommodate it, or you'll start to be thoughtful about it.
Yeah, and I think if it's going to do a lot against customer effort, right? I mean, it's going to create a lot of customer effort. Then the question is going to be, what makes it worthwhile? Like, how do we prevail from this in a noble way? Because otherwise, we've added complexity, we've added effort, we've confused the customer. And I think, if you look at what I love so much is so much of what we do with a mindset to how to make this operational for us. So we got these forms, in healthcare was notorious for forms and billing statements that were incomprehensible, right? I mean, unless you were a physician or a coder, you could not possibly understand what you were being charged for. And even then, the breakdowns on what insurance covered and what my copay and my deductible, I mean, it is that kind of mindset that has enabled you to go into organizations and say, hold on, I write books about walking along with the patients. Let's grab this piece of paper as a group of executives and tell me how you read it. Tell me if you have, a 10th grade education, how this possibly could be something that you could comprehend given the phraseology and Latinate medical terms, right?
Well, yeah, and it also gets back to that innovative problem solving. The idea that if we have an admitting form, there's got to be some kind of admitting form or screen or whatever it is. Why not? I don't care where you're sitting in the whole country. Why not? Let's make this the best admitting form on the planet. What's keeping us from doing that? Our own minds, our own restrictions, our own sense of unimportance. And so if you go to that registration department, admitting department, access department, whoever they are, and you say, we want this admitting process to be the best on the planet. There's no reason it can't be the best on the planet in this organization, in this city. So if that's what we want, here's some tools for bigger thinking, better thinking. Let's do it.
Yeah, and I love this best on the planet commitment. I think that's really been a driving force for you in your career. You may be the best on the planet when it comes to helping healthcare organizations focus their attention on what it needs to happen.
You're just too kind.
Yeah, that's really true. And you and I have worked together for a long time. And this is not like, hey, I just met you and I'm having you on my live stream. I mean, I'm trying to think back how long it's been. Guess. It was probably, I'm guessing 2006.
I was going to say 2007.
Okay, so there we go. I mean, we've known each other for 13, 14 years, and I've known a lot of other people in that time. But Diane, you really did it in your healthcare systems. Then you went outside of your healthcare system and have been a consultant. I've been involved with you when you're in front of groups of healthcare professionals, healthcare leaders, taking them through the journey. We've had virtual support of your efforts in those places. So I know that of which I speak, right? And so I think it is constantly being, in your ethos to drive companies to be their ultimate best. That has helped individuals take their own personal power to be the chief moment officers, as your book has suggested, and to be the chief safety officers on behalf of patients. Now I think you're going to have to add another acronym. So we're going to be chief moment officer, chief safety officer, and chief ease officer.
Yep.
It might need a little work. That would be
really big business cards.
Don't you think? CEO, chief ease officer, CMO, chief moment officer, and CSO, chief safety officer. Yeah.
And if the day comes past the pandemic where hospitals are going to start to be graded as their effort score, you're going to see a lot of things have to change, because again, I love the telemedicine company called ZocDoc. Their tagline is healthcare but easy. That tells you right now that there's a problem.
Yeah, they're definitely, and I love that. I read that in one of your recent blogs. So help people know, in addition to your books, where they can go to find information about you. We've been scrolling down here, xpeers.net the whole time, I think, pretty much. But is it there that they go? What are they, we've talked a little bit about how you might help somebody get on the effort to,
if you go to that website of my company, that explains a little bit about what I do, explains some of the people I've worked with and their perspective on how we work together, and has information about the books and how to get in touch with me.
Yeah. So if you want to get advice from a patient, you want to grab that book. If you want to understand how to mobilize people across your organization to be chief moment officers, to take responsibility for stepping into the moments that matter most, you want to grab that book. If you are on this journey to reduce the effort of your customers, your patients, whatever label you affix to the people you serve, clients, customers, users, patients, name it, this is the book for you. It is a very systematic approach. It focuses on process. It is very much, it creates a model that you can get your arms around. It has action steps that enable you to step into the motion that is necessary to really transform your organization from difficult to easier. I'm not going to go to easy. I don't know if that's really fully possible in the complexities of delivery today. That's everything I got for you today. I'm sorry. I'm sure a portion of this was obliterated in the wonderful ether that's out there, but I know we preserved a good chunk of it. For those of you who only got a portion of it, or if we got interrupted on all channels, I know the last 16 minutes has been rock solid, and we will have you back if we had any interruptions in the messaging. We definitely got the message out today, and I couldn't be more honored than to have you on the show. And again, if you're looking for somebody to guide you through the journey, you can't find a much better navigator on the CX bus.
Well, thank you for having me. You've been one of my heroes and mentors, so I'm so honored to be here today.
Well, it has been my pleasure. So thank you so much for that. Hey, for everyone else, I will see you on the next live stream. As those of you know, we were doing these every week for a long time. And then thank goodness, or not so thank goodness, I'm not sure which, we are on the road all the time now. Again, hop on planes pretty much every week. And it's been just a real disruptor from the standpoint of being able to be in studio to do the show. So look for us at least once a month, but if I can make it possible, in 2 weeks we'll have another live stream happening right here without any of the experience challenges that we have had today. Sorry for that for those of you who experienced that with us. Otherwise, that's it for the show today. Thanks everyone. Have yourself a massively powerful customer-centric period.